Greetings, everyone. Allow me to start my talk by sharing a small incident, an incident that sparked this very TED Talk. So one day, I was watching the news, and I heard a person talk about the principles of equality and equity. And he seemed to stress on one very main point, and that was the idea to treat everyone equally and fairly. And for the most part, I agreed with him. I too believe that we should treat everyone equally and fairly, but then I thought about it, and I realized that this statement wasn't quite true, or rather, possible. But before I explain why I said that, I need to clear one very major misconception. You see, most people believe that equality and equity are similar in some sort of way. The reality, however, is that they aren't. Equality and equity are two different concepts. In fact, they are so different that in certain scenarios, they can work as the exact opposites of one another. Now, equality suggests that we treat everyone equally without any discrimination. Equity, on the other hand, is a more preferential approach. It states that we should treat everyone in a way that respects their needs and their situations. And these two facts alone blow the previous statement away. Because if you were to now say, treat everyone equally and fairly, what you're really implying is that we should treat everyone equally and preferentially, which doesn't really make sense, does it? So what do you do now? Now that you know that you can't treat everyone equally and fairly, what do? You have to choose, right? You have to now choose between the principles of equality and equity, that is, being fair and being equal. And this choice, ladies and gentlemen, is not simple. Because to make this decision correctly, you need to know how, when, and where to apply certain principles in order to make the best of your situation. In my opinion, equality is more applicable to national issues or global issues, whereas equity is more for personal issues. These images here serve as a great example for that. The first image shows that equality was inferior when compared to equity in a personal use case. On the other hand, we have two images showing the importance of equality in terms of gender and law on national and global scales. Now here, the choice was relatively simple because there lies a clear distinction between national and personal. But certain issues can blur this line, and that's when making these decisions becomes very tricky. Let's see this with an example too, shall we? But for this, I would like to request everyone in the audience to try and close your eyes to imagine this. Imagine a city. The city has a big high school. The high school is well maintained, it has excellent teachers, it has very good teaching material, it has big clean labs for the students, basically anything that encourages a student to study. Now, picture a small, run-down, poorly maintained school in the slums. The school has very small, dirty labs. It has a severe lack of teachers and teaching material. Now, a nationwide standardized test is to be held, and all the students will be scored according to their grades. So, how should this test be held? Should we follow the principles of equality and give everyone the same standardized test paper regardless of how they were educated? And completely disregard equity? You see, it is these kinds of situations that you really have to think about which principle to side with in order to make the best of your situation and prevent a severe backlash possible. Like in this situation, if I was to choose equality, I would be displeasing the suburban people or the less privileged people who couldn't attend a proper school, as they would now be forced to compete with students who in many ways received a superior education to them. However, if equity was followed, I would be displeasing the privileged students who did attend school, because now They would have an excuse that following the principle of equity made it simpler for the underprivileged students. At the end of it all, what I'm really trying to say is that we should try and learn where, when, and how to apply these principles in our daily lives in order to make the best of our situation and to help everyone around us. At the end, and also, please stop saying treat everyone equally and fairly. I know it's positive, but it doesn't mean anything. Instead, try saying this: treat everyone properly. Treat them in a way that they deserve, and see if that makes a difference around you. That's all from me. Thank you very much.